Hi, my name is Caleb, and I went to Guatemala for 2 weeks this summer to study abroad. I went there to volunteer in a classroom to teach English through the IVHQ, or the International Volunteers Headquarters program. Honestly, before I went, I had no idea what to expect before leaving, but it turned out to be one of the more amazing experiences of my life. It was really great. Very glad for the experience. I went mainly to operate in the education system, so that's what my presentation is going to be focusing on. Not as much of the human sorry, not as much on the health services side of things, but more on the human services. Let's see, what is the most valuable take home message that I learned in this travel? Well, there's actually two really valuable things I can take home from a human health services perspective. The first thing is that education, health, and legal systems that we have in the US should not be taken for granted. And secondly, that the organization of the systems in Guatemala, the practices of the education system, are not so different in Guatemala than in the States. It may seem like these takeaways are contradictory, but I do not see it that way. Sometimes it seems obvious that we would have a full day of classes for our children in the United States with a wide range of activities and the teachers that are qualified to teach them. But in Guatemala, teachers make do with what they have. The accumulated wealth in the classrooms do not have anything to do with the quality of education. I saw the teachers of the kids in Guatemala teaching kids with the same joy and enthusiasm and interest that many of the better teachers do in the States. They were truly there because they wanted to educate children for a better future for their country. What is the state of education in Guatemala? I was talking with the faculty at Maximo Nivel. Maximo Nivel is the local humanitarian group that IVHQ partners with, and they mentioned that many children in rural areas in Guatemala cannot afford school. The families need them either to help work in the fields, or they need extra hands to do housework or something like that. Most children do not finish school past the third or fourth grade. Many girls are not enrolled because of traditional mindsets and economics, and many boys who are in rural areas are also pulled out of school for needing because their families need them to help work or because they're conscripted into the cartels. The central government is trying to push education, though there are many social and economic hindrances to this. Fortunately, this is becoming a reality for many of the children throughout the country. The push to create more schools is starting in larger population centers and slowly making its way out to the more rural areas. I was in a city setting, Antigua, Guatemala, so the school that I was at has been well established for at least 15 years. What have I learned about Guatemala, and what would I want others to know? Guatemala is a beautiful country, full of many and wonderful, kind people. After talking with people in broken Spanish that I know, I was able to explain that I was here to volunteer in schools for teaching English. There was no one who did not smile and thank me for serving the kids of their country. This seems to be the general consensus, that better educated children will lead to a better Guatemala in the future among the people of the city that I talked to.